All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is Greg Gomez III. I'm founder and CEO of MLMBusinessBlueprint.com, and today we're going to be discussing the second most important skill set you need to develop as an internet network marketer. Okay, so what is that skill set? It is copywriting. The ability to take words on paper and be able to turn them into money. Now, copywriting is most commonly referred to as salesmanship in print. Here's why I say copywriting is the second most important skill set you need to develop. Well, Greg, I can't sell online if I don't have compelling copy. You're right. Notice this tagline right here that says salesmanship in print. It's not printmanship in sales, it's salesmanship in print, which alludes to the fact that you're taking your sales skill set, your selling ability, and you're putting it in print in order to hand off and, you know, leverage so that you're multiplying your sales efforts instead of just doing it all on your own. So copywriting is a multiplication of your ability to sell. And copywriting is not just limited to words on paper or on a computer screen. It's also the dialogue and the script that you use on your videos, your audios, your presentation calls, anything that you do. Those are scripted items, and those do require salesmanship in print or copywriting. So today, most folks, though, struggle with getting copywriting done properly. So today I've crafted the Web Copy Crash Course for Newbies. Flame on, right? All right. So what is the 4 essential items you need in order to build copy that converts? Well, the first thing is you need to identify what your unique selling proposition, USP, not UPS. We're not going brown. We're going unique selling proposition. Well, I'm brown. I don't know. We'll see. The next thing you need to do then is craft compelling headlines. You need to learn how to craft compelling headlines. This is really one of the second most important thing you need to do in your sales messaging, right behind unique selling proposition. Third thing you need to do is learn how to be able to tell a story through body copy, how to be able to persuade people and provide proof and credibility with using body copy. Well, I'm going to give you a formula for that here in just a second. And also, you need to lay out your process, or your sales letter, your video, or whatever it happens to be, in such a way that it's visually appealing. Too many times people say ugly stuff sells, and many times it does, but there's this thing that I'm going to talk about that actually costs you and keeps people from wanting to view your material, no matter how good your content is. If it's not delivered in an appealing way, they're not going to want to pay attention to it. So let's talk about these one by one. Identifying your unique selling proposition. Okay, so this question is, why should a prospect choose to do business with you versus all other options available to them, including doing nothing at all? I'm going to read that again because that's so important. So why should a prospect choose to do business with you versus all other options available to them? The bottom line is this: if your offer is not compelling enough, if your benefits are not centered around what their needs and their desires are, they're going to be less likely to get off their duff and take action with what you have to do. And that's versus the nothing at all. If it's less painful for them just to stay status quo, they will. So you have to be very compelling in what you do when you're crafting your unique selling proposition. I'm going to go over some elements on how to craft a real winning unique selling proposition. Your USP should clearly identify who it best serves. Let me give you an example here. One of our unique selling propositions we used in our businesses for years that has been one of our top performing headlines, as well as our business, MLMBusinessBlueprint.com, helps average everyday network marketers learn how to add up to 5, 10, 20, 30 people every week into their current home-based business. Okay, we clearly identify who our offer best serves. We're talking to average everyday network marketers. We're not going out there and chasing big dog leaders, because they already know how to add people into their downlines. That's what they're doing on a daily basis. Our focus for the blueprint is targeting folks who have struggled, who have had strife, who have been challenged by recruiting in their business, and that's who it specifically speaks to. Second thing it does is it details the biggest benefit a prospect can expect when they're doing business with you. Notice in our unique selling proposition, the second thing is helping average everyday network marketers learn what it takes to add up to 5, 10, 20, even up to 30 new money-hungry associates every week into your current home-based business. Excuse me, into your current home-based business. I get choked up talking about it. So the purpose of this is that we're laying out for them exactly what they can expect, the biggest benefit of getting it done. Now, notice I said 5, 10, 20, even up to 30 people a week. This is called this is like a stacking process. A prospect can pick and choose which is right for them. Some folks, for their business, 30 people a week is ridiculous. 5 people a week is exactly what they're looking for. Other folks, if they get anything less than 20 in their business, they're never going to hit 6-figure success. So I let them pick and choose which one's most relevant for them. So there's your extra little copy tidbit. Another thing this should do is your unique selling proposition should differentiate how your offer is different from all other solutions that are available to them. So for example, right now, network marketing arena, there are a lot of gurus, a lot of coaches out there all claiming to have the answers for you. The good ones, the ones that actually have the goods, have to demonstrate their expertise, and that separates. That's why I'm doing these videos for you, to kind of lay out for you, not only give you helpful tips. If you decide never to do anything with me that's paid, totally fine. I made a commitment to my group that, you know, by being a person who opts into our list and takes our newsletters on a weekly basis, I want to give you hard-hitting, compelling material that you can use consistently to add more reps in your business. Cool, here you go. So this is how I differentiate myself from other folks that are out there. Lots of folks give you motivation and they give you insights as to, you know, inspiration and compelling quotes and all these other things. Awesome, it's good for them. You notice I don't do that stuff. Why? Because there's plenty of motivation out there. If you need you know, motivation, go listen to Tony Robbins or a lot of these other guys out there. They just take quotes from other folks and they share them with you. That's awesome, good for them. I'm not knocking it. That's not me. I'm always focused on the tactical things you need to do on a day-to-day basis that are ultimately going to build a long-term residual business. That's how I differentiate myself from the rest of the packs that are out there. All right. So clearly, another thing that your final thing your unique selling proposition needs to do, it needs to clearly state why they should choose you over all other solutions, including nothing. We've kind of already talked about that, but you need to ultimately decide. One of the big things on the tagline of my unique selling proposition is it shows you how to do this in your current home-based business. So many other programs out there are looking to have you promote their stuff first as a result, or as a system, in order to recruit for your primary business. We don't do that. We do have an affiliate system available, and we're actually going to be pushing that very hard soon. But the reality is I don't care if you promote my stuff or not. Just look at what we're doing and implement those same strategies into your own primary business, because they work. And our focus is showing you how to grow your business, and that's how we differentiate ourselves. Okay, headlines. This is one of my favorite things to do. I love writing headlines. They're so much fun. Headlines literally are compelling, attention-grabbing, and benefit-filled statements. That's all that they are. Compelling, attention-grabbing, and benefit-filled statements. And you know, these should literally tell your prospect what they can expect to receive as a result of reading your body copy. All right, I'm going to talk about that here in just a minute. So headlines, your headline should break prospects' preoccupations. It should grab them by the ear with so much interest, desire, curiosity, and compellingness that it just forces them to read every word or listen to every word of what it is you're saying. Break their preoccupation. The headline is really an ad for the ad. It's an advertisement for your ad. So if you have body copy you want them to read, the headline should incite why, the biggest benefit they'll get as a result of reading this material. It's not about trying to sell them something later on down the road or 3 steps from now. It's just focused on read this below in order to learn how to do blah, right? That's the next step, and that's what it should teach them to do. And your headline should clearly express what the reader will get as a result of investing their time in reading your message. Understand something. Just because they're not giving you money, there is an economic exchange here. They are deciding to trade their time for your message. And if your headlines aren't compelling enough to justify and to ensure, or assure them, I should say, that it's going to be worth their time, they're not going to take the time to read your material. Thus, I don't care how good your offer is, I don't care how good anything is, if your ads or your offers don't get read, or your sales letters don't get read, or if your emails don't get read, or your subject lines are another thing. Subject lines are like your headlines for your emails. If they don't get read, or if they don't compel a person to open them up, what good does that material do you, right? You got to be answering the question that's down here. It's a radio station, WIIFM, and that's a call letters for what's in it for me. Your prospect is constantly asking that question, and if you can answer that question, reading your headlines and all of your material, really, you're going to be much better positioned to get your prospect to take the next action. And what is the next action? Well, it's to read your body copy. So what's the body copy? Well, body copy's purpose is to tell your story in a compelling manner that creates curiosity and desire. All right, so what does that mean? Really, it's all about building rapport. There's a common storyline that marketers use, and that's I'm a lot like you. And for networkers, this is really prevalent. And here's the hard part, is for most of us, this is actually true. I know for me personally, I struggled very heavily in getting my business off the ground. It was not an easy thing to do on my own, and I did it on my own. I was lucky enough to find mentors and resources and things that I could study and learn and read and kind of stand on the shoulders of great folks that stood before me, but I didn't have somebody standing over my shoulder showing me exactly what to do like we offer in our coaching programs. So what I tell folks is my compelling story. You know, I struggled, and I'm going to give some examples of that here in just a minute. But I struggled to get results in my business. I had these challenges. I was dejected, rejected, set aside, uninvited from barbecues. Have you ever experienced these things yourself? And doing everything my upline told me, I literally would get nowhere in my business, just a lot of rejection, a lot of frustration, and nobody else in my business, and bigger debt, right? Many folks can relate to this because A, it's very common in network marketing, but B, it's also true, which really sucks, but hey, there it is. So we use these personal experiences to build rapport and sales. We do that in our copywriting as well. So let me talk about a couple of things to do here. Now, how do you craft a compelling sales story in your body copy? Now, I've done this for years. When I trained sales associates, my model was as follows. Here's who I am. Here's what we've got for you. Here's what it'll do for you. This is how much it costs. Go get your credit card. It's a 5-step process. Here's who I am. Here's what it'll do for you. Or here's what we've got for you. Here's what it'll do. Here's what it can save you. What it'll make you. This is what it'll do for you in your health or whatever it is, without making claims. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Here's how much it costs. This is after we've established value. Here's what the price point is. Go get your credit card. That's the close. Well, John Carlton's model for storytelling is very similar to what I've done, but I think he does a better job of explaining it, and I definitely lifted this from John, so you should go follow him, subscribe to his emails, one of the best copywriters living today. And he describes it as follows. Here's who I am, and the purpose of your Here's Who I Am story is building credibility, building rapport, building a commonality between you and your prospect. Here's what I've got for you. What you're doing is you're positioning your offer in your prospect's mind. This is critical because it's not what we want or why we bought. It's why your prospect will want it or why they will buy. And you need to position your offer in such a way that you figured out what their desires and goals are, and you're positioning your offer as a way of helping them meet those goals or those desires. Here's what it'll do for you. Big promise. Again, don't expect your prospects to draw conclusions on their own. You must draw the conclusions for them. I call this doing the math for your prospect. If you're showing them something that's going to save them money, don't just say it'll save you money, it'll save you 20%. Give examples. That's going to save you 20%. So normally if you're spending $1,500 to get that done, that's going to be a savings of over $300 that you can put back in your pocket that you can use towards advertising your business. That's that you could give to your wife as for Mother's Day as a gift, right? That's an extra $300 in savings. I'm not just telling them the percent they can save. I'm telling them the amount of money it is, but then I'm going further than that and showing them, because money's abstract, showing them what they could use that money for and what they could use what that money would represent in their life. So that's the big promise. Do the math for them. Here's what it'll do for you. Here's what you need to do right now. Very clear call to action. Do this now. No, don't pussyfoot around with it. Don't beat around the bush. Tell them specifically exactly what to do first and second, or what's next. Be very simple with your call to actions. Don't give them a dissertation on 16 different things to do. Tell them the one thing they need to do next, and in that next step, tell them the next thing they need to do, so on and so forth. So that's your body copy. Layout. All right, so now this is pretty interesting here, because really what this is all about is making your message easy to consume and pleasing to look at or listen to. All right. One comment I get a lot from prospects is, or from folks that are on my database, I should say, is that people watching videos even, you talk really fast. Yeah, I talk really fast. And the reason is because I don't want to forget what I want to tell you, because it's that important. So the disconnect between my mind to my mouth is, very small, and there's very little filtering that goes on between there. So I usually offend people pretty easily, but that's okay. It's true when I do that. So, but the challenge with that is I have to remember to go a little bit slower at times to make sure that my message is being consumed. And if it's not being consumed, what good is it? It could be the best compelling information in the world, but if I'm not going at a pace where people can consume it, doesn't do either of us any good, right? All right. So really what we're also talking about here in print is the mystery of eye fatigue. We're going to talk about that right now. What should your stuff look like, right? Short paragraphs, no more than 3 to 4 short sentences per paragraph. Keep it small. I get this all the time. People tell me all the time, your stuff is so long. If you really look at it, it's not. It's actually pretty short. It's just broken up over bigger spaces and lots of white space so that it's easier to consume in smaller chunks and blocks. But that spaces stuff out dramatically, and I'll show you one here in a minute. Pleasant pictures of people smiling. People gravitate towards faces. Look, I'm doing it right now. See this cheesy ball-headed guy up here in the top right-hand corner doing his best rock impersonation? Okay, he's smiling. That is me, just in case you forgot about it. Someone was teasing me. Says, man, use a different picture. I'm like, I like this picture. It converts. Anyways, we'll talk more about that later on. But pleasant pictures of people smiling, and I'll show you some examples here of that in just a minute. Subheadlines and bullet points to break up the book feel. You're not writing a book. Don't think you're writing the great American classic novel. You're not. You're writing compelling, easy to consume, candy for eyes and sales letters. And they're going to have substance and content, but you have to build them and break them up in such a way that prospects are going to be drawn to want to consume it. Next thing is clearly define what and where you want your prospect to take action. Don't hide your order buttons or your links or whatever it is. Make them stand out like green thumbs in a yellow background, all right? Make them clear and easy to see with visual graphics that define what the next action step is. And since we're talking about layout, let's look at some examples, right? Okay, so now we're going to do something fancy here. We're going to break this. We're actually going to go to my web browser here. And you can see we're at mlmbusinessblueprint.com/mlmbb letter /dropout.html. And you should have a link to this, or I'll provide a link for this here at the bottom of this message. But basically, this is a sales letter that I took a long time to craft. And I do a lot of subtle things on my sales letters. Notice this point here and this point here, and they come to this point here. You literally have this triangle effect. And there's a reason for that. I'm going to talk about that here in a minute. Look at the copy. The longest lines on top, shorter lines on the bottom. This one was adjusted to the left, but that's okay. Look at the headline. The content, who else wants a proven MLM blueprint that earns a multiple six-figure income in less than 10 months from scratch? Again, the arrow portion here, it's all drawing the eye down. Arrows pointing down, 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 down. And then you look at the copy, and it's got, again, compelling headlines. And notice the paragraph size. We've got, well, if you'd like to finally learn what it takes to add up to 5, 10, 20, and 30 new associates every week in your current home-based business without pestering your friends or family, this might be the most important letter you'll ever read. That's one sentence. It's a run-on, but it's one sentence. And notice it's 3 lines long. This one's barely 4, but it is, again, just one sentence paragraphs. That's another just one sentence. A lot of this stuff is very, very, very short. Why do we do that? Quite honestly, because it's easier to consume that way. Notice we use bolding. What's a marketing funnel? And that's a question when you ask, people might know the answer to those that don't. They're going to be drawn back in if they're trying to skim. In just 8 weeks, I was personally sponsoring over 23 people every week, and in 6 months built a team that had over 247 people every week in my organization. This stuff's all true, guys. And again, it's still pointing down. Let's go up here. Mr. Dave Fox, one of my successful students. Look at him smiling and enjoying the good life, right? They sent this photo to me, and we're talking about the results he'd gotten. I became my company's first regional vice president. That's in bold, standing out. It works really well. That's what they read. Then they might come up and read this, but that's all that they care to read. They're seeing that other folks are getting results with this. Bullet points, compelling, eye-catching bullet points to get people to come back and look at stuff. Lists of things are breaking this content up. Again, this is all designed for, you have 2 readers. The first person's going to skim, the second person's going to read it word for word, line for line, and the storyline should flow either way. If they just read the subject lines, or the subheadlines as they're called, that should tell your complete story. Bullet points are easy for them to kind of pick out what they want. MLM myth busted. Okay, why people who need your products and services may be your worst prospects. That's compelling. That's not normal. Why is that? I want to know the answer to that, and it builds curiosity as we go through this. Another MLM myth busted. We have some themes that kind of go around this way. Dirt cheap leads. I know that's an important point for my demographics and my list. Again, we could go on and on and on, but there's one last thing I want to show here. Pictures, images, people smiling, everything we've talked about beforehand. Why is this all okay? Scrolling down. Okay, right here. Where's the order button? Was it hard to find? If I scroll down, the order button is right here. It clearly displays what the price point is. It demonstrates what you're going to get, and take control of your enrollment starting today. This is still not as compelling as it could be. It should have click here now, order now, something like that. Click the button below to get started now. It doesn't do that, but it still converts. This lead format converted at over 8% for sales letter, which for a sales letter is pretty good. Let me show you something that blew this out of the water. Basically the same copy in a video format. All right, this converts over 14 to 20%. You're about to discover the real reason you've struggled in your MLM business and what you can do today to start adding more reps a week than your upline does all month. Attention network marketers, you can see the order button's already popped up, but attention network marketers, you're about to discover how to add more associates in your business a week than your upline does all month. That's a compelling line I've used for years, and other people are starting to use it now, which I think is pretty funny. In this video training, I'll share with you the exact step-by-step blueprint I use to add over more than 247 people every week without ever bothering a single friend or relative. Sound familiar? It's the exact copy for the most part. I made some minor adjustments, but 90% of it, it's the exact copy that's on this page. and we just deliver it in a different format that's a little more compelling. I can deliver more emotion talking to folks than I can in print. So that's why I say in print, you want to be, almost over the top, energetic wise. In video, I found for me, I can be, just my natural self. I am pretty, energetic and energized and talking pretty quickly, and that gets people interested and compelled. One final example I'm going to give you here. Subject line, 5 beginner steps to XYZ success or FHTM success. This talks about a specific benefit they can expect to get as a read. This actually rereading this email, this isn't very compelling. So this is a good example of what most folks are doing, and even I must have wrote this very quickly just to get it out because it's not very good. So I've got to go back, and I already know what I'm going to rewrite it as. So I'm already going to improve conversions with this. But it should say 5 beginner steps to FHTM success. What 5 simple things you can do now to get better results. And that's what it should be here. 5 newbie FHTM steps to improve recruiting. 5 simple things you can do starting today to start improving your FHTM recruiting. Click here to watch. Click here to read the post now. Very clearly, it states the blog post. I get some image, some branding here and here, so they know who it's coming from. Hey, Legend, I think his name. I just got this question from a gentleman named Isaiah on Facebook, and after rereading my reply, decided it was important that you heard it too. It's a common question. I feel it can really help you in your XYZ business, regardless of if you're a beginner or seasoned vet. Enjoy. There's just no call to action, no big benefit there. I should have put a subheadline in the middle that said, by reading this post today, you'll learn 5 simple things you can do today. They can drastically increase your conversations with interested prospects, get them more interested in what it is you have to offer, and ultimately get more signups as a result of taking these 5 simple steps on a daily basis. Watch it now, and so on and so forth. Another thing are PSs in my emails. Studies have shown that if you can include another link in the back end, you wind up getting in PSs, I've said this beforehand, but you'll get a higher conversion ratio. Even if you I've sent emails out as blatant that say, hey, you got to include a PS in your subject lines or in your PS line or another link. It increases conversion, so here's mine kind of thing. And just kind of done tongue in cheek, but that's interjecting personality, and it's the layout that really gets it done. And as always, it always increases conversion. It's funny, even when I tell people what I'm doing, it still works. So there you have a few different examples of some of the layouts that we have there. So let's go through some final thoughts, because we made this video longer than we needed to. I know this was really quick, but I tried to jam as much stuff in here, and I want to make this point. Copywriting is a learned skill set. This is not something you're born with the ability to do. Heaven knows I wasn't. I busted my tail for years and years and years to learn how to get this done. Now, I will tell you one advantage I did have is that I could sell in person. So copywriting for me worked real well, and I made the transition easily because I knew how to sell. But that still didn't change the fact that I needed to get some elements and learn some things, format, layout, content-wise, visually, that worked. And I've kind of laid out a lot of that stuff for you already here. So what can you do to improve your copywriting skills? Study great copywriters. I've already, kind of borrowed creatively from John Carlton, so I'll definitely tell you, follow John Carlton. Go do a search on John Carlton's blog. Subscribe to his email list. Know that he sells big programs and big copywriting courses, but they're great. He's a great copywriter. Watch how he mails to you. Watch how he any of this. I tell you, it says right here, create a swipe file. One of the easiest things to do is go create a Yahoo or a Gmail account, set it up as a dummy email address, and then go and subscribe to everybody's stuff and look at the emails that they send you. Pay attention to the subject lines. Note, whenever you find yourself clicking and taking action on something, pay attention to that. Create a separate folder and throw the good ones into that one as your best swipe file material. Don't plagiarize, just creatively borrow from their subject lines and their headlines and their body content. Write your own words. This leads me to the next point. Commit to write at least an hour every day. And the easiest way to do this is to take copies of good subject lines and good emails and good sales letters, print them out, and then type them out or write them out longhand. And very few people do this. Even I don't do this as often as I should, but when I'm writing copy, it's something I rely heavily on. I'll go get sales letters and other things that are out there that I really respect from my swipe file, and I'll just start writing their stuff verbatim. And I won't use that, but I'll start trying to translate it into what it is I'm trying to say for my offer. So I make a list of all the things they're going to get as a result of using my material. I take their sales letter, I write it out using theirs as a template, and then I take that suggestion and then I write a second draft from that first copied version, if you will. And that second draft is all mine. It's heavily influenced by the first, but it's not plagiarism, it's my material. So even the stuff we did in the sales letter, some of that stuff was heavily influenced by other folks. So the big thing is, don't wait on this. Get started copywriting today. This is going to take time to develop your skill set. This is a long-term skill set. The sooner you start digging the trenches, the better you will, the quicker you'll be able to reap the harvest later on. So you reap what you sow kind of thing. And this is definitely one of those long-term processes. So don't wait. Start. My final suggestion, start now. Start writing right now by leaving a comment below. Like above and subscribe to the right. So definitely let me know what you think of this. Let me know if you have any suggestions, any things that I missed in this copywriting crash course. Obviously, this couldn't be all inclusive, but I wanted to give you some tips and some pointers. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and I look forward to talking to you soon. All the best. Take action today. Implement these materials. And you know what? Go close. Man, come on. Let's go. Take action. Go write something out. Make it a blog post, Facebook connection, whatever it is. Connect with somebody. Get them on the phone. Talk to them. And if it's right for them and for you, get them involved in your business. Go close. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.